depends on what paths lie ahead. Forgive the chooser so his own salvation can be made. Blood the faith for a tree of never get to say. We cannot be saved. this all that there is? We can't sit back and just survive. We're meant for more than this. What does it mean to be alive? Is this all that there is? We can't sit back and just survive. We're meant for more than this. What does it mean to be alive? We can't sit back and just survive. Is there a better
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope you are all doing well. I'm sure you'll notice that the format looks a bit different today. We've got whole new graphics and everything. As mentioned last week, it's a really, really big day today because the band that I am very privileged to be a part of, Schemata Theory, has launched a new single today called Voices. It is our first release in years. And we were thinking about all the ways that we could celebrate it. And so we've done a big campaign with our Instagram. It's all on our Spotify. But because Wednesdays are when I do my live show, we thought what better way to have a topic for this show than to actually do it about Schemata Theory, about Voices, and about our upcoming album. So without further ado, I'm going to hopefully be able to introduce you to all the band now as I bring them on. Ta-da! They're all here. It's worked fine. This is awesome. And they're all in the right positions. This is great. Because there is so much DIY that has to be done when setting this all up. So, there's a lot we want to talk about. We're going to show you the music video for Voices. We're going to talk about that single, what it was like writing it, recording it, making the music video, and then what the onward journey is with the album and future singles and stuff like that. But before we get to all of that, you need to meet the guys because these are like my brothers. I love them dearly, and they aren't just like fellow band members. We are like the closest of friends, which is always important if you're in a band, because if you don't get on with your band members, that can be problematic, especially in a creative process. So we're going to go clockwise. We're going to start with Maz, then Josh, then Hugh, then Luke. So, Maz, who are you? What do you do?
So my name's Mario, but my friends call me Maz. Guitarist, one of the guitarists in Songwriting Theory. So that's me.
Awesome. Josh?
Hey, I'm Josh. I play drums in Schemata Theory.
Hugh?
Oh, hey, sorry. I'm reading the comments at the same time as trying to pay attention. Thank you. I play guitar as well with Maz. Yeah.
And I'm guessing it's me as well. I'm Luke, and I'm the other vocalist with Myles. And yes, Kev, my hair has grown since the video shoot.
I've just seen that. Honestly,
For reference, that was the comment that distracted me, and I was how to respond. Trying.
This is the thing for this live show is you're always so active in that, and I thought especially now with Schemata Theory piling in as well, there's going to be plenty of discussion today. Look, there are going to be people tuned in that have no idea what Schemata Theory is, didn't know what the band is and stuff like that. This will all be introduced to you today. There's going to be a lot of you that have only recently started listening to us, and there are some of you, like Kevin, who has been to many of our shows. He's always one of the pleasant surprises. You know, we'll go to a show, a gig, and we're like, oh, how many people have turned up? And it's like, oh, Kev's here. And it doesn't matter where in the country it is, he'll happen to be there. He just somehow manages to pull it out of the bag. So yeah, this is all about just being inclusive for everyone and just giving you an introduction of what we're about, why we do it, and just celebrating. So much so that I've poured myself a drink. Yeah. Although it's only a little one, because obviously there's responsibility with, you know, intoxication, all that sort of stuff. But with all that said, I think we should just kick things off and just check out the music video. So, for those of you not seen it, this is Voices. This is a brand new single that's out today. Wherever you stream your music, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, go there, search Schemata Theory, follow us, save it to your favourites in a playlist, and enjoy. This is Voices.
Sides of the coin, blinded from a chance to join. Ground opens up, we're losing touch with voices that never been more. Bridges and walls are rising still fall, with voices that never been more powerful. We can't afford to stray on baby's life. As water rises, we must swap these sticks for room. Fabric binds up new sense of hope. Show hands. Cells divide for hearts and minds to unify inside. Ground opens up, we're losing touch with voices that never been more. Bridges and walls are rising still fall, with voices that never been more powerful. If we could cut through the noise, conflict will be a choice. Only fears Frankfurt's outdated try.
Right, so what we'll do is, I noticed that the music video was going really laggy with the audio. So what we've got is we've got it playing below us. What we would recommend anyway is for the best experience of this music video is to go to our YouTube channel. I think, to be honest, it's because I've not exported like a low quality version for this broadcast. It's literally trying to play a 4K video. So that is probably why it's going to be struggling. So yeah, what we'd say is head on over to Schemata Theory's YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/Schemata Theory. Have it on a tab for after this live show and check out the song. But it will be playing below us as we're talking a bit about it now. But yeah, that is annoying. You say it seems fine now. Okay, just as we stopped it. With all that, I mean, I could pause it throughout, but you know, the best thing to do is just go and check it out on the YouTube channel. You know, comment with your thoughts, share it, all that good stuff. So, guys, who wants to go first with like the making of this music video? Who wants to set the scene? Like, we're in this white space, like the Matrix. Where was it? What was the ideas behind this? Anyone? Hello?
Hello, mate.
Is no one gonna...
Sorry, I kept looking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good. I was asking for one of you to talk about the music video and like where we were in that.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I kept looking at Hugh. It looks like he was trying to speak. I don't know if he's on mute.
It's all right.
So I thought I'd jump in.
No, go for it, Luke.
Yeah, it was a really nice thing to do. To be fair, obviously, we had to put everything on pause with the pandemic and hadn't really been able to do much of anything. So just being able to get together as a band was quite novel. But yeah, heading up to Bristol, chilling out in a massive whiteout room for the day, and trying something a little bit different to what we've done before. I think we've in the past focused a bit more on just sort of music videos that are shot quite well and look quite cool, but are more sort of performance pieces. So we wanted to try and push out of our comfort zone a little bit and do something with a bit more narrative. I think especially with a song like Voices, you want to be able to tell a bit of a story with it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And what you were saying about the pandemic, I mean, we've been in this pandemic so long now, we take a lot of it for granted. But I think we were initially going to do a music video for this like in November last year. And we had it booked and stuff, and we were going to do the music video. But it was like halfway across the country, and it was just as everyone was going into lockdown. And we had to sort of make a decision as a band. And it was just the fact that there's a difference between, what is like the ethical argument and what is like the legal argument. So legally, we technically were able to shoot a music video, but at a time when people were, losing their jobs and being asked to stay at home at all costs, it just didn't feel right to do. But I mean, when we were filming this, we were under all precautions when it came to social distancing. Like, we were given all these instructions. We were in this massive room, but it was like, it's a one-way system going in and out. Every time you come in, you sanitize your hands. And the only times we were able to be close with each other was for specific scenes. And so Luke and I, when we were screaming at each other with megaphones, we were, the megaphones weren't directly pointing at each other, and we're sort of screaming across each other. And there's two reasons for that. One is obviously the COVID part, although we'd been testing that. But it was also the hilarity part, that when we've got these like calm bits going on, like Luke's singing, it's in What We Say, and he's like screaming at the top of his voice, I really struggled to hold it in. I was laughing because it was just like such an intense thing of just like, Jesus Christ, this is so full on. And so we ended up looking, which I'm sure a lot of actors do in comedies, you're not looking directly at each other, so you just don't. We couldn't do it looking each other in the eyes, could we, Luke?
No, those first couple of takes were pretty tough to be fair. Yeah, until we started not looking at each other. Yeah, staring in someone's eyes whilst screaming at the top of your lungs isn't the one.
Absolutely right. Maz, what did you make of the music video shoot?
Well, I thought we had to give special mention to what was our COVID inspector, whoever it was. I think she's on the chat tonight, so she did a cracking job at the shoot. So for those who don't
Carly represent
know what we're talking about, we had to employ someone to enforce the rules, and Josh's other half stepped up to the role, did a great job. Kept us well protected throughout the time that we shot. A few other things about the video shoot was the room was freshly painted white.
Yes,
when we did it, if you remember. So yeah, it was great. The lighting was incredible in that room. Like, I've never seen anything like it. We really lucked out. And also there was a sound system in the room that we were using just to listen to other tracks whilst we were hanging out and pulling ideas together, which was really cool. Yeah, it was the first time in ages the band had got together. It was a wicked day. It was the first enjoyable day I remember throughout the pandemic. It was nuts. So yeah.
I like that you went with the positive. The positive of like it was freshly painted white, because straight away I thought, oh yeah, how messy was it after we left? all our footprints were all over the place. But it was weird though, because as you're filming it and you're like walking into a space, your shoes, I remember at the beginning you're sort of looking behind you, making sure you're not marking it, and then by the end of it you're like, we're never going to avoid this, so we just have to go with it.
Yeah.
What did you think of it, Josh?
Yeah, if it was on that, I remember when we were leaving, I noticed that my drum pedals, I did manage to get the floor a little bit muddy from something that we'd done previously, a little bit left over. But as a whole, I thought it was such a fun day. We all have our acting debuts, and yeah, just the environment, being able to get together. It was really cool.
And what about you, Hugh? Because Hugh and I were sort of because as Josh mentioned, there was more concept, there was more narrative. We kind of had ideas. It's always an interesting one when you have a videographer or a director you're working with, because there are different ways you can do it. You can just give the concept totally to them and just say, you make it. Sometimes they ask for your ideas, and then it's a bit of a difficult situation because you want to give suggestions, but you don't want to do anything that might impede them from doing what they're creatively good at. And so we had a really cool balance where we as a band were talking about voices, and I know Hugh and I started making a timeline of like different things we wanted in the video, but then on the day we kind of just experimented on, as we went along. But there was also getting the furniture, wasn't there, Hugh?
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you good. And by the way, just before you start, there are so many comments in the chat. If there are any questions that are being asked, I'm actually starring them on my broadcast system. So a bit later, I'll be able to bring them up and we will answer your questions. So if you want to ask a question, start with a Q in the comments, just so I know, and then I'm not going to miss it. And then we're going to do a big Q&A throughout as well. Cool. Sorry, Hugh. Continue.
No worries. Sorry, what I was going to say at the start is sort of, it was a bit random. I was literally on a walk with my partner Gemma, and I was like, I just stopped. I had to write down this idea I've had, and basically the idea was, what if we're in just a white room, and the whole voices thing is essentially two people getting angrier and angrier, essentially with each other, and then eventually reconciling, which is eventually what we developed that to the point where we ended up with the video you saw. So in terms of shooting it, on top of just what Luke and Myles were saying about they were screaming at each other and trying not to laugh, off camera, I was shouting at them about how angry they needed to be at different points, which is really weird because, and like the guys are saying, we've never done such a directed music video before, or it's certainly not by ourselves at least. There's one other that's a little bit directed, but not to the level this one was. And then the other thing was shooting all the parts where like I'm on the phone and Josh is going to the iPad. All of that we were shooting without the track. So it was also very weird having a phone conversation with Myles, and
it was an actual video call.
Whilst actually having a conversation is it was a really weird experience trying to do the best we could in something like, none of us are actors, none of us have ever done anything like that, and not that we were really acting, but it was definitely out of our comfort zone to try and pull it off. Yeah,
and Loki Films, who directed it, he was the perfect guy to be working with. I mean, we've always been very lucky with the people we've worked with on videos, but because if you ever look up Loki Films, he is renowned for, he shoots on a red camera, like 4 to 8K. The amazing thing about making like the social media assets for voices is when you do an Instagram post and you're zooming into the video, you zoom in, and normally when you zoom into a video, straight away it goes a bit blurry. It still looks amazing because the quality of the camera was so good. So on top of the amazing camera, he knows how to work with it. He knows how to get the right shots, the lighting, and he works with so many bands, especially of our type, in terms of heavy music. And it was like that was just the perfect mix for us to then sort of go in this territory that we hadn't done so much before. And without going into too much detail, because there are a sprinkle of Easter eggs throughout the video that we've actually been impressed already how many people have noticed them in the YouTube comments. But there are a lot of things on the screens and that, which had to be mocked up. So there's like a social media site, and you're always thinking when you're doing these videos, we can't have Facebook necessarily on there, because it's also like things can become increasingly dated when you have stuff that was like, oh, do you remember that Facebook layout from last year? So Hugh actually did go away and make his own social media site. I don't think it had enough. I don't.
We made a social media site. We made a news website. There are no prizes for guessing which ones they're modelled off, by the way. But we did actually have to actually make them, because we didn't want to just have. We couldn't just have a news website with real news on the devices. We had to have. But there's even a news story. Myles is actually reading a news story. You can't really see it in the video, but I did have to write one.
So he became a journalist. He became a Mark Zuckerberg. He opened up shares for his social media company. Yeah, he really lived it. Was
there a mock recording for the podcast as well that you made?
Oh, of course. Sorry, yeah. No, we don't want to. We've got to give the Mazzacaster its fair dues. This is one of the things that this never made it into the video. It is technically in the video, but you can't see the screen on Maz's laptop at any point, which is a real shame. But I'll let Maz talk about what he had.
Yeah, so what happened in the music video, I was recording a podcast, wasn't I? And so Hugh had mocked up what looked like a production software with a voice recording.
A fake version of Logic.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It worked out so well. Just looking at some of the questions now. By the way, we've got last time I checked, we had 22 people in here. We're at 14 likes. If more people can click the like button, if we can get to 20 likes, it's all good for the algorithm. We're all slaves to the algorithm, and it just helps get it out there. Just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's tuned in today, because it's especially because of the pandemic we're still in. Although people can kind of hang out, we still kind of work remotely. This is kind of our first get-together as a band since the launch today. We've all been either working in our jobs and stuff like that, all chatting on Signal, because obviously WhatsApp might go down. But this is actually our first get-together since the launch, so you're a part of this celebration. Right, we're at 17 likes. This is really, really good. Just gonna... Oh, there we go, 20. Smashed it. But don't stop there. Keep going. Right, just looking at questions. So what's the...
I just saw one about Complex Slate, which might be...
Oh, yeah?
Just whilst we're talking about making the video.
Yeah, go for it.
Jump in.
No.
A question that was, how was it to make this one?
Oh, yeah, sorry, we'll do this one, yeah.
Which, just whilst we're talking about that, maybe it's relevant. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it?
I guess that we made Complex Slate, 10 years ago now? And that was our first ever music video, and we were very green, I guess. It's probably the best way to put it in terms of our knowledge of how these things work. And we worked with a company who were absolutely amazing, who had fantastic ideas, and there were so many crew, and the fire was real as well as the CGI fire that later came. All of those sparks are all real, with people literally swinging charcoal around above our heads to make it appear it's crazy. And it's amazing that we had the opportunity to make a video in that way, because frankly no one makes videos that way anymore. It would be way too expensive and it's too hard work. Whereas this one is very, very different, where it was literally just us five and Carly, our COVID warden, and then Sean, who is from Loki Films, and that was it. So yeah, everything was sort of by ourselves, very low, ultimately low cost. All the props we had were all we bought in a way that was sensible, that we could either sell them or whatever afterwards. Whereas Complex Day was completely different. It was a massive warehouse in the middle of a racetrack, and there was a cherry picker. It was mental. It was amazing, but completely different league to what we who have now learned you can do.
Yeah, it's amazing how many years ago that was as well now.
Yes, and we all had more hair, Jamie.
Yeah. Sorry for the echo just then. For some reason, when I switched to share screen, it put the sound to my computer. So I'm just going to quickly test it again now, so it doesn't. That is, yeah, it's good. Sweet. Yes, right. Moving on to another one. So yeah, we were asked what is the inspiration behind Voices. I mean, this is a good starting point. Talking a bit more about the album. So we announced today in the description, and it's also in the press, that we've got an album coming out next year, 22nd of February. Am I right? Is it 22nd?
25th.
It is 25th, sorry, 25th. 25th of February. It's called Unity in Time. And the artwork we're going to publish after this live show on our socials. And we're really, really excited about it. And I guess it sort of comes down to like what the process is when music is written. I mean, the top line is Hugh, Josh, Maz, like all the instruments, that gets done first. The concepts come up. Hugh is the sort of lead writer. He will go away and come up with melodies and things like that. And then Josh will lay drums down, and then they can sort of bounce off each other. And then I especially remember when doing the demos for Voices, Luke and I would go round Hugh's place in his garage in the like winter, and we were wearing coats, multiple layers, hoodies, seeing condensation out, you know, which is really good when you're trying to use your lungs and, you know, be warmed up to do vocals. And in this garage, we would just try vocals and see what would work. And we have an interesting writing process. We're constantly learning, like even 10 years down the line, we're still finding ways of doing it. Because of the way that Luke and I are dual vocalists, but we are different vocalists. He has, I always say, the angelic voice, or Mafia Elvis, as he was described. Was it by Progmag described as that? Yeah.
It was, mate, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, to sing, it's, you know, it's holding on notes. It is to have notes, whereas screaming is a lot more, you know, punctual and, like, hitting the, like, the syllables a bit more defined. There are obviously overlays. You can hold a scream and you can sing much more quicker bits. But what it tends to mean is we basically just ramble BS words over the music, and some of it stays in.
All of the samples are saved.
Oh yeah, Hugh's also got the samples of us like doing a note and then going, "Oh fuck," yeah. And then he always tries to sneak it in the actual recording in the studio, and we have to always double check to make sure there's no sort of echo in the background that you sort of mixed in.
It's a bit of a side point, but as we're live,
yes,
I could put them on the in-ears tracks so we know when to come in. Because that was a problem after doing the demos and not knowing when to come in because all the random fucksakes had gone.
Oh right, yeah, because that was always yeah. So me and Luke will kind of just like freestyle, and then that helps us get the rhythms. And the reason I bring this up in terms of what inspired Voices and the music is because, like, writing lyrics, I have ideas of like what the songs are going to be about, but when you have the sounds and of what the vocals are, you might find that the song you're trying to do, like conceptually, is at odds with like what the song sounds like. The song, the music, and the vocal melodies, and where the aggression is, that's what dictates the concept, because that is the feeling. And we've always said as a band, yes, we have, you know, songs that are about specific things and hope to inspire and make people aware about stuff. But that's not like the main objective. The objective is to make music that people enjoy. And if people want to look a bit deeper, they can. And so when we're writing these songs, Hugh has a feeling for a melody. Josh has a feeling in terms of how the drums can drive it. And then when it all comes together with Maz as they're playing it, you get a real feeling of what the song is. And then Luke and I will echo that feeling with our own interpretations of like, this is what a chorus could be, this is what a verse could be. And then based on all those sounds, that kind of gives you the foundations of, right, now we can have lyrics that sort of fit with it. And so Voices sounds epic. I mean, that opening guitar, like, you know, forget when the vocals kick in, that opening, and I can say it because I didn't write it, but when I heard that, I was like, it is so huge. It sounds so huge. And I just had this like line in my head, like, when Voices have never been more powerful. And I thought, it's just, if that was an anthem, how do you build around it? And so that is kind of how you flesh it out. I think often, Luke, do we start with choruses? I mean, I mean, even though Luke is the chorus guy, choruses are my favourite bit, because that's, like, I'm always, like, my role in the band is to sort of set up for the chorus of, like, all the growly shit and, like, you know, all the down stuff. And it's like, but you know this epic chorus is coming. And then Luke smashes it. Like, what are your thoughts on the writing process, Luke?
It's always been a bit of an interesting process. I think when we first started doing it, it felt a bit arse over tit the way that we did it in terms of doing sort of vocal melodies and lyrics separately. And I would say actually that having written lyrics for the first time on a song on this album, it is much easier doing it that way around. It's a lot easier writing your own lyrics for your own vocal melody, rather than Myles adding about 12 syllables into a vocal melody that I wrote that has 6.
Syllables are always the biggest contention when we're writing, yeah.
And no thought for which vowel sound it might be at which pitch.
No, or whether I need to breathe at any point during the chorus. But I would say, Mark, with all of that said, and a lot of that tongue in cheek, I think we have worked on it quite a lot over the last 10 years that we've been writing songs together. That's terrifying. And it's a much nicer process now. And I think it feels more collaborative now, where actually we can both add parts to the other one's writing styles. Whereas I think historically we were very narrow in our 2 lanes, and you would do lyrics and I would do melodies, and never the two shall meet, essentially. But it feels a lot closer now, and a lot easier. And we've always got Hugh in the background to tell us when we're doing it wrong.
That is very true. The thing I would just say on that as well, in terms of like the symbiosis that we sort of are moulding together more, you know, just over time, it just comes with practice. That's even been the case with like this campaign of like releasing this. We've really sort of found our way. This is the first time we've done a release where we've got management, we've got press, you know, we've got people doing radio. We've got new rigs for when we play live, so we have like in-ear monitors now. Like, we've really stepped it up, and it's always weird because like even 5, 6, 7 years ago, we'd have been like, oh, we've come so far since we first started, and we will be saying this again in another 5 years. But the way that this album is going to come out, and with this single, it is definitely come out with a new sense of confidence that I personally feel as a band member, and I'm sure, or hope at least, the rest of the band would concur as well. Hugh, the writing process and like Voices, how's it been for you?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this earlier, knowing that we'd ultimately talk about it, and Voices. So, like, we've announced the track listing for the album now, so we know there's a track before Voices. For those of you who have snuck your way out of Apple Music and seen the track listing, at least, well, no, there is a track before Voices on the album, and I don't. Myles and Luke were just talking about whether they write the choruses first or the verses first, whatever. At least the way I feel about it for them, but that might just be the way I experience it. But it's the same as when I write it. I sort of write in a linear fashion in terms of part to part. They go through each other. So Voices came about as originally part of a longer song, where the first half of it you haven't heard yet. But you will in due course. And yeah, it's just sort of, I don't know. It's just sort of whatever I feel sounds good next, or what I think of that will sound good next. And then I would say, actually, most of the time, even if I go away for weeks and weeks and weeks and try and write a better part than what I naturally thought would come next, it's not that often I change it. It's more like when the song gets scrapped than gets changed. So yeah, there's it's very linear, I would say, in all senses.
And how about you, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I mean, Hugh will do most of it, like to like the structure and everything of songs, or like he'll send over the sheet music for like of guitars, what he's come up with, and then it will be in that linear process, and then there'll be a like 10, 15 bars of just emptiness, and then just some riffs that he's like labeled A, B, just like to test out to try and swap in later to see if they can be better or not. So that's always fun. That's always fun, just like listening through.
I forget you get those.
Like, oh, there's some extra riffs.
Yeah, I think actually one thing on that is.
One
thing I was going to say is often when I'm doing it, I have a vague idea of what I'm thinking drums are going to do, but I very deliberately never tell Josh what I'm thinking, because Josh will often do something that's completely different to what I'm thinking, but it creates what I think sounds like Songwriting. It doesn't need to be what I originally thought it was. Like the combination of the two, I think, makes the sound. Whereas if I just did what I think it would be on drums initially, it would not sound anything like what it actually sounds like, and it wouldn't be the same song.
Yeah,
because it adds so much to the overall layering.
And that's where the collaboration part comes in, because then we find, oh, maybe it doesn't quite work, but if we tweak it slightly, either tweak the guitars, tweak the drums, tweak both of them, then we find this brand new thing which maybe neither of us would have come up with, which ends up being our preference out of it all.
Mads, I was going to ask you, so when it came to voices, and even like in the process of not just the writing and the recording, but when playing live, how do you feel about voices and in the context of the album as a whole? I mean, we're not going to go into what the songs are specifically, but do you feel voices is a good representation of what people can expect? And how have you found it in terms of the process of us writing and learning it?
I mean, okay, there's a lot there, so I'll take it bit by bit.
Pick whatever you want.
In regards to, Hugh said there's like another part to this, and I'm gutted that listeners haven't been able to hear that before voices. So that's like a bit to come. In regards to playing live, I mean, we've test run it, and I mean, I thought it sounded great. People will have to come and see the show in order to understand what that is. Again, I don't want to give too much away.
It sounds huge live.
I think that's all we can say right now. Come to the show and hear for yourself. Make up your own mind. Tell us what you think. You know. In regards to the writing process, like Hugh does a cracking job normally, and normally tailors the guitar parts, because mine and Hugh's guitar styles are quite different, I would say. So I guess I get the more rhythm parts with the lead, like some soft leads more than Hugh. Hugh will sort of concentrate on the guitar solos. But this album is very different from the first. And I think Voices is a great representation of what is yet to come for the rest of the album, you know. So hopefully people keep their eyes peeled. Hopefully they're excited as like we are, because I mean, we know what's coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully we can keep it going, you know.
I think because this is...
to add on what Matt said there was in terms of us being distinctly different on guitar, Maz is really good at getting particularly some of the subtleties and some of the chorus leads and things. He's got a great touch on that kind of stuff, and also a lot of the sort of tremolo-y things and everything. Whereas I tend to hit the guitar like I'm playing with a hammer. So, which as best we can, we try and tailor the parts around what's going to sound best when we actually play them. It's not about, oh, I want to play this part or whatever. It's about how's this going to sound best when we actually do it.
For sure.
That's what you always tell me, Hughes, when we're writing songs, is that that's all well and good writing that vocal line, but make sure you can sing it live.
Exactly.
And it's not just about when writing it. It's
Not that I ever listen, but
it's when recording it as well. Because this is what a lot of people, I think, don't appreciate. And when I say a lot of people, I would put us all under that when we first got into recording. And it's the idea that when you're recording a song, you are, of course, recording the best take of each line. But when you're live, you don't keep doing each line until you get the best take. You are literally doing one take and that's it. And so there is this balancing act between what best serves the song when you record it and what best serves you as a band of expectation for when you then do it live. There is give and take. Like when you see people recording live shows on their phones, the sort of the tinniness, although phones are getting a lot better at recording audio, you will hear when people don't quite hit notes or when things aren't quite gelled together, whereas when you're in the room with all of it, you can actually mask quite a lot of stuff over. But yeah, when you go into the studio and record, and you know, this happened with our debut album when Luke and I were very new to recording vocals. The song Drones, which was the second song that played on the intro, it was like, can you just go a bit higher? And you're like, yeah, I can, just about. And you did it, and you nailed it. But then we go away, and it's like, oh shit, got to do it live now. And you can do it live, but there are like different. There are parts that I do where there are certain screams where I can do it, but on average, would I be able to do it if I have maybe a day that I'm feeling a bit off? And so you have to do this balancing act. And I think we definitely came to this album with that maturity in mind, because yeah, it would be nice just to record whatever sounds the most epic and unbelievably incredible, like speed up solos on guitar and stuff like that, but you got to play it live.
I think it's a fair point. I think it's a lesson that I've certainly learned over the 10 years of being in this band, and I wouldn't say it to his face, but I think it's definitely a lesson that Hugh has taught me well over the years of recording. I think when I look back at going in recording Dry Lung Rhetoric and it being my first time ever recording vocals quite early on in me, you know, in the days of me singing at all, to be honest, I think I had in my mind a load of the bands that I used to listen to growing up. Funeral for a Friend is one that comes to mind for me quite regularly. That were great on record, were shithouse live. He could do any of his vocal lines live. The crowd would do half of it, and he'd bottle the other half. And I think that was just what I knew growing up. That's just what you do as a vocalist. You smash it in the studio, and then you sort of half-arse it on stage. But
you put the microphone out to the crowd to sing your bits.
Well, yeah, exactly. Do a Robbie Williams, get the crowd to sing half the show. But yeah, I think
Saying that,
in the last 10
saw
years, especially in the...
Oh, sorry.
No, I will go on that. I will go back to you because I know what you're going to say.
Carry on.
In Funeral's defence, Hugh, they've come on a lot since we were listening to them in school.
Yes, they have. And a couple of weeks ago at Slam Dunk, I was particularly impressed by his vocals, having witnessed the aforementioned vocals.
Yeah, and to be fair, nowadays they play a show every 2-3 years. It's quite easy to hit vocals with that with clarity. But the point I was going on to was actually a lot of the bands in the last 10 years that probably grew up listening to those bands, people that we started seeing as we were in Schemata Theory and growing up, people like Periphery, for example, who really fucking can hit it live and make you feel bad about yourself every time. They were actually the bands that we should have been aspiring to be like, not bands that sort of don't bother. So that was a lesson that I had to learn over the years. I still push it. Every time we're in the studio, I get Hugh going, careful, just make sure.
Well, pushing
you never grow if you don't push yourself, do you?
Well, that's exactly it. Like,
Yeah, it's getting the balance right.
yeah, I mean, I always talk about how sort of music has changed over the decades, because what used to happen was bands would write songs and they would tour with them for a year and like try them out, and then they would go in the studio and record them and release it. It's now flipped on its head, because now what you do is you record an album, you launch it, and then you tour with it, as a part of the campaign. So, every time we come out of the studio from recording something, like Voices, Voices is a great example, and it's a bit ironic with what it's called. Was really happy with it, and I'd really made some ground in terms of more of the pitch screaming and stuff like that I was going for. And I came out and I was absolutely buzzing, and then obviously that was in February we recorded it of last year, and then the pandemic happened. We weren't practicing. I can't practice those absolutely shouting vocals at home. My neighbours, I always make this joke, my neighbour who's a paramedic would seriously, not take me seriously anymore if I did actually one day fall down the stairs. And it meant that when we finally came into the studio, into the practice rooms, I had two concerns. One concern always happens after recording, which is, can I replicate what I've recorded now? Because I did it that line in that one take. And fortunately, I should probably give myself, I'm selling myself short, but I did manage it pretty good. The one thing I struggled with was like lung capacity. And even though I'd been in this fitness routine, I was the fittest I've ever been. There's a difference from being fit and the lung capacity to really project and get it out there. But what you find is the process is you go in the studio, you record, and that is like putting a flag down of like, this is the standard we want to go to. And so when we talk about this balancing act of not doing anything that's too complicated, but doing something that is ambitious, you do actually want to do something that is not the standard you are as you go in the studio. You want something that does push you a bit, because by the time the music comes out and you start touring with it, you are going to be a better musician at what you're doing. So you don't want to end up touring and already being bored of what you've recorded because you were like, well, I could already play that. Maz, were you going to say something, or was it already past about Funeral?
No, I mean, the last time I remember we went to go see them together was in London, wasn't it? Shepherd's Bush. And I'm pretty sure the audience sang the majority of the songs. And so, like, all I could hear was people singing. Which, just going off Luke's comments, I just found it funny that I think we pretty much sang all the songs. I don't remember the vocalist singing the song.
Okay.
It wouldn't have happened, Maz, that you were standing next to me and Hugh at the time.
Well, this kind of goes against our argument then. So what we're actually saying is, you want to write in the studio the best chorus ever that you couldn't possibly sing, because people will love the chorus so much that when you go to play live, the audience will sing it because they'll love it so much that you won't have to.
I think what we're saying is we want to be a band in 2001.
Well, not if the audience can't sing.
I love it. I love Bex. Soundproof your house, mate. Honestly, what do you think? How much soundproofing do you think I'm going to put? Like, the temperature in this place would go through the roof. I'm not doing that. Could do a GoFundMe. I don't know. Right, we do need to do some plugging before we get on with more conversations. But honestly, keep putting your questions in the chat. Put a Q at the beginning, and I'll save them. I've already mentioned in the chat already one thing. There are two things that can help us more than anything right now, and I would urge you to do it right now. Number one is, if you have Spotify, is put in Songwriting Theory and follow us. Like, following us, especially at this early stage, because it's a bit of a reboot for us, will help us so much. All of the soundproofing, I love it. When you're on our Spotify, Voices is there. If you could like it, you give it the heart, that is really good. But also adding it to a playlist, if you have like a favourites playlist or a metal playlist or something. Oh, am I adding that question? All right, fair enough. I'm saving it for later. We'll do it for a quick fire round, Canuck. Save it to a playlist. That is really, really, really important. The second thing, so we've got Spotify. If you have Spotify, follow us, like us, playlist us. The second thing is, if you're on YouTube, which you all are, is like and comment on our music video for Voices after this live show. I know some of you already have. We really, really appreciate it. And we just love hearing what you think about it. Like, what parts of the song did you like? How did you feel about the video? Was there anything in particular you noticed? I'll give this guy a chocolate bar. Already done both. That's it. Really, honestly, it does mean a lot, because today is like the start of us like really building things up all the way up to the album early next year. And we do have more singles coming out, which will be expected, and we can't wait to tell you more about them. But then also, if you want to support us more, Josh has been... We'll actually go through the roles that we've all been working on for this campaign. Because Maz, by the way, Mario, if you DM us on Instagram, most likely you'll be speaking to him. He's basically bought a bookshelf of social media books. He's done so much research on social media, and he is an absolute pro now. Won't surprise me if he gets like a doctorate in a couple of years for Instagram. Absolutely smashing it. But Josh has been working on the website, and if I bring up this, if you go to smarttheory.com, you've got Unity in Time here in the pre-order, and actually here you'll be able to see the artwork. This is the artwork for our album, Unity in Time, that we'll be posting on Instagram afterwards. I just want to go, isn't it beautiful? Like, it is, it's just... And this will also explain why everywhere when we post a hashtag, we post the hashtag Unite and then the hourglass. We can talk a bit about this in a moment, but what we were going to say was on our website we do have... oh my god, I've just zoomed it in.
What's happened?
Whoa, what is this? There we go.
Which is usually defined as to take place, come to...
What is that? I don't know. That was interesting. Right, this so on this website we do have merchandise, and we have the Unity in Time bundle. Hugh, do you want to talk a bit about these bundles?
Yeah.
Other than
sure.
that people should buy them.
Well, yeah. Point one, you should buy one. So what we're doing is for the album itself, the only way you can pre-order it is through one of these bundles. So what we've got two options. Basically, both of them come with the... Myles, can you just zoom in on the shirt on the left?
Yeah, I'm actually going to zoom in via the... here we go. Oh, this does work. On the left, yeah. I'm not able to sort of move.
Cool. So,
yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So the that shirt with the hourglass, that's basically we've got an album T-shirt. Now that's going to be limited to only these pre-order bundles. So the only way to ever get that shirt is going to be this way. And then in addition to that, there's going to be a signed copy of the album, a signed print, photo of us, and then a whole bunch of other little like stickers, guitar picks, badges, all kinds of stuff. Then we have sort of like a premium bundle, which a little bit more expensive, but you also get a secondary shirt, which you should be able to see there, which I guess for the special guests on our live stream, that is themed around one of the other singles, which is going to come out before the album launch. You're also going to get a key ring and basically like an enamel pin badge. So that's the difference between the two, but that's the only way to pre-order like a real copy of the album. So yeah, grab one if you want to pre-order whichever suits you. So I talk about some of the Voices stuff as well. Mark?
Yeah, sure. Let me just zoom back out. All these questions that you're asking, I'm saving them, so don't feel that if you ask questions they're getting lost. I have saved them in my favourites. So if we go to the store, and then we got on the store you got Voices and Unity in Time. So we'll go to Voices, and here we are.
Two options. So the Voices, I've actually got the Voices stuff next to me, so I can just hold it up.
Oh, nice. As in, you actually got the.
Physicals. Here's my prepared earlier, Blue Peter style.
Here we go. He's going full screen as well. There it is.
Oh wow. Cool. So obviously the bundles are pre-ordering the album. That's great, but they're not going to ship out for a while. So massively appreciated and massively helps us out. But if you want something in the near term, the Voices merch is what you want. So we have hats.
I'm not a fan of hats normally, but I love that, and I will get one.
I mean, yeah, it's a trucker hat.
Yeah, I'll have one as well.
Yeah, cool, right.
And just
cool.
so you know, guys, we have to
Sold.
pay for our own
Anyone
merch.
else?
Yeah, we've sold 2, and it's the band.
Oh yeah. Nobody gets free merch in this band, by the way. Call it unfair, but we've got to keep the band surviving somehow. We also have 2 colours of t-shirts. Let me zoom out by moving my chair backwards.
we can see it.
Getting stuck on wires. Right, so there's a black shirt, basically, which has the it's basically a sort of a sketch version of the single artwork. And the text you probably won't be able to read on the thing. It also says hearts and minds can unify in time, which those of you listening carefully will notice is in the song. So that's the black shirt. There is also a grey shirt, like so. Obviously, same design, different colours, and both shirts come in a like a ladies' fit and a men's fit, whichever colour you prefer. All the shirts are organic, and they are, for those of you who know baseline shirts, they're what are they called? Stanley and Stella, is that right, Josh?
Stanley, yeah.
So yeah, one of the questions we just had from Beck, she was asking, as always, must ask, how ethically and environmentally friendly is the production of the shirt? Great design, though. So we actually had a conversation at this as a band.
Yeah, there is ethical as possible. I mean, like the reality of all this stuff is less clothing is more when it comes to environment and ethics. Like, and there's no getting around that. But at the same time, people want to buy merch, and it's the way we can sustain ourselves as a band. So the best way we can do it is make the shirts as ethical and environmentally friendly as we can with the stock that we have available to us to make. These ones are all printed DTG printing as well, which ultimately is lower water and lower ink. So again, environmentally and ethically, that's positive, but we're not going to pretend that it's not more positive to buy second-hand clothes from somewhere else.
Yes, exactly. But there aren't any second-hand Schemata Theory shirts, because when people buy them, they wear them until they fall off because they're that good. I was waiting for Hugh to endorse it. But yeah, no, it is.
I mean, I've probably got one if someone wants to buy mine.
There we go. To be honest, we could. Yeah, we'll just
We've
keep
all
wearing
got
our
merch
own.
from 10 years ago that does not fit us.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it comes down to as a band. Like, for years, I've always been asked, like, "Oh, do you make a living from the band?" And I've always joked it's just a really expensive hobby, and it has. But because of the campaign that we're on with this album, we do want to build this as a business so we can invest more in touring, so we can invest more in making more music videos and recording, you know, albums in future and stuff like that. Like, we have put so much money into this band to make it happen, and we're not doing that to say, and therefore people owe us the money back. Like, we've done it because we enjoy it, but ideally we would like to, you know, build something out of this. And so if you not only enjoy our music, but really believe in the type of music that we do, whether it's in terms of the themes or it's in terms of just the style of music. A lot of people say that we don't really fall in line with the regular sort of metalcore music. We have sort of a proggy, post-hardcore vibe. You know, the best thing you can always do is support bands by the means they allow it. I mean, you know, we could have a donation button. You know, you can buy our singles on stores, but you know, we live in a world now where people stream music and we accept it. So for us, it's like merchandise, unless you're coming to see us live. But even then, it's about selling merch. This is how you can help us, you know, take things to the next stage. So would really, really appreciate that. I'm just reading the chats. No worries, Myles. Good to see you here, buddy. And no, everything we do in a band, we have big, like the conversations we have about even the smallest stuff. It could be even about a font on a social post. We'll have like a 1 hour meeting about it. Like, we're very thoughtful about these things, probably to our own detriment. So yeah, please head over to schematatheory.com. It's also got the music video there, so you can check the link. But going back to Unity in Time, I'll just bring it up here on full screen. Can zoom in. Does someone want to talk about this? Because someone was asking, like, what inspired the hourglass, and I mean, I can recall what the artist mentioned about it, but
yeah, I think that's probably a good place to start. Is to talk through what I can remember vaguely what he said, but if you have it,
I don't have it written in front of me. I would just be recalling it, but unless you want to look it up,
let me see if I can get it, because
yeah,
I don't want to.
That's cool.
What he said.
Yeah, sure. So while you do that, so just sort of set it is, you know, when it comes to artwork, what you tend to do, and it obviously depends on artist to artist, we've always been very much wanting a cover that encapsulates the themes. Like Dry Lung Rhetoric is a bit of a collage. There's a lot going on there. You might have seen it with the big monster, the two people floating. But in each piece of the image, it reflects a different song on the album, which is really cool. And then our 2014 EP, our last EP, Words Not Heard, Read or Seen, is someone with like hands with like wires coming out of them, grabbing their face, you know, blocking their eyesight, their ability to speak, their ears. And so what would normally happen with an artist is they would ask for the music, so they get a feel for it. They would ask for the lyrics, and then they might pose some questions, you know, to get a bit more detail. So in this case, they just reached out and said, you know, just give us the music and the lyrics. And he went away, and we didn't even know what to expect. We gave no guidance on terms of tone. We were like, this is a fresh start. Give complete freedom. And, yeah. I'm just going to answer this question quickly, actually. Marty was just saying this.
Yeah, I need 2 minutes to read.
That's all right. He goes, it's funny, a basic Bing search for schemata theory leads me to results for schema theory instead, which is obviously different. Well, this is why we need your help, because as we build as a band, we will eventually, you know, become more and more in those search results. Because, yeah, schema theory is the academic research on the subject. And Samantha said, got any gigs coming up? So, do you know what? I'll save that question. We will get back. We'll get back to that in a moment. And also, Ryan, right near the start, I had this save, said, only hearing the name of the band out loud for the first time tonight. I've been pronouncing it all wrong this whole time. I apologise if I've been telling others to see a band that isn't you. I mean, once on the radio, they called us, I think, Schemata Theory. So maybe that was maybe how you heard it, and you started calling.
Theory.
Yeah, Theory. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's a band name that, you know, might be a bit more difficult than if we were called, like, I don't know, Red Car. I mean, I'm up for us deciding. Down Within was the previous iteration, yeah. But it also means that once people are in there with us, you know, we do separate. It's like a lot of bands that, you know, take liberties with the words and they swap the vowels around in it, and I'm always like, oh, that's really risky, but it does pay off in the long run. So yeah, that is it. I'm just going to get this.
I've got the artwork thing if you want me to talk about that much.
Go for it, please.
Yeah, right. I'll just do that whilst you're finding the next question.
SEO.
So the artist is well, his artist name is Make North. If you want to check him out and look at his stuff,
Make North. Yeah.
He's done a lot of cool things. The one that comes to mind immediately is he's done a lot of our Hollow Our Home recently. Over the last few years, I can't remember anyone else off the top of my head. So if anyone else can, please jump in. So I'm just going to read how he described it to us as not wanting to strap. So, the hourglass in the black sand represents time, how it's nearly run out, and how each section of the hourglass is a divide, whether that be fear, anger, or loss. You also love the idea that the hourglass is self-contained, representing the echo chamber. It's a simple, clean hourglass with no frills or ornate elements. So again, it reinforces the shape itself, one of infinity. The flower is specifically chosen as an iris, which is the symbol of hope. The idea of a single blossom growing out of the negative at the last few seconds, as you can see by the sand dripping away, to represent nature and all that, even when all seems lost, there is still hope for the damage to be reversed. The fragility element comes in from the fact that there are cracks in the hourglass. This is more of a nod to the mental and emotional health side of the album and of the lyrics throughout the other songs in the album. Like, obviously, there's a lot. The artist clearly has seen the lyrics for the entire album, whereas obviously we've only shown you voices so far. When you see the rest, all will become more clear. But essentially, the cracked hourglass suggesting that it's been used with force in the past. There's a history of experience that's taken its toll. Everything is ultimately fragile, and that nothing should be taken for granted. The crack at the bottom, where the sand is actually spilling out, essentially bleeding and losing what's within. The general blues and things is basically to try and mix a sense of bleakness, but with our underlying sort of sense of hope. Trying to basically amalgamate the two together. So his closing thing, which is quite good, is two sides showing one filled with darkness, one flowing out, the other with new life, oxygen, colour, and a chance. There may be a divide, but unity in time is possible.
It's amazing. It was such a thoughtful thing.
From Daniel from Make North.
Yeah, Daniel from Make North. Because it's, you know, it's what's good about working with real creatives is they do go the extra mile. Like, and you know, he could have just, you know, he could have had all those thoughts and presented us with this, and that would have been fine. But the fact he did go the extra mile to say this was my justification for it meant a lot, and it gave us a lot to think about as well in terms of what it means for the album. And it meant that as we were coming up with the campaign and we were trying to think of a hashtag and, you know, what is it that our tribe is, that's what it comes to. And so for us, if you are on Facebook, we have a Facebook group called The Voices. It should be in the description of this live stream. If you have Facebook, join it. It's the best way to get notifications on Facebook about stuff we're doing, but it's also just a chance for us all to, you know, personally talk with you. All of the band are on it. You can chat to us anytime. And the reason we went with The Voices was because we felt, especially from the song Voices, you know, voices have never been more powerful. It's the idea that we all have a voice. And although we are the band, we actually really treasure the things that are expressed by you, the audience. Like when you send us a message and say, I like this bit of a song, or it made me feel this way, or it made me think about this, it means the world. And, you know, as someone who has done YouTube stuff for a long time, every time there is a new comment of someone that's been inspired, it never gets dull. It never wears away that feeling. And so we just feel that we wanted to create something that felt inclusive. And, you know, we are about unity in time. And as was expressed by the artwork, we are living in very challenging times. Some of the songs were written about previous challenging times, which now in hindsight don't seem as bad as they are now. But I think it even adds to the poignancy of the artwork, which is there is this final blossom of hope, you know, as time is running out. And I think a lot of people will resonate with it, or at least we hope so. But in a way that doesn't make them feel doomed and despair, but instead feels a sense of empowerment to unite and work on togetherness and empathy and all those kind of things. So, yeah, Mojo said it's a great name for the Facebook group because it gives us all a voice to talk to you guys. Exactly. So it's in the literal meaning and it's in the more metaphorical, and we felt that it needed to be something that served both of those. So yeah, we regard our supporters as voices, and we regard ourselves as voices as well in that. Cool. So we are going to be wrapping this up in just a few minutes' time. This hour has absolutely flown by, but I just want to go through these questions quickly. Well, this one was quickly: are bagpipes too sexy for metal? Funnily enough, we have someone who's really good for this question. You might have been asking that as a joke, but Maz, are bagpipes too sexy for metal?
No. I mean, I don't know who the question has come from, and I don't know if they're aware that.
No, they're not aware.
Bagpipes, but maybe it's someone that we know. Like, yeah, but I mean, we could try incorporating bagpipes at some point in the next album, perhaps. Who knows?
We've always talked about it. Every release, we're like, we should get bagpipes on.
Yeah.
Next time. Sure.
When we were recording with Justin in the studio, he was like, "You play bagpipes? Like, what the hell?"
You brought them in,
and then we ended up. I brought him with me. Do you remember?
Yeah.
He was like blown away.
Oh, but very good, Maz.
Oh yeah.
I love it. You could have taken the credit for the pun, but instead you're like, yeah, I didn't mean that.
No pun intended. Pun intended. Yeah.
For those of you who might never have tried to play bagpipes before, I remember years and years ago. So me and Maz have obviously we played a band together, but we've also been at like Scouts together and Cubs together and played rugby together and worked together. And I remember Maz bringing in bagpipes to work one time and trying to play them, and it is so physically difficult just to get a sound out of them. To actually be able to play them is ridiculous. Like, at least a guitar, you can just like drop it and it'll make a sound.
I almost spat my drink out for that. Just drop it.
It's true.
Yeah. Right, we got 3 more. Got any gigs coming up? Have we got anything to announce? Or TBC?
Right, so yes and no. We are doing a run of shows in November. All of it is still very to be confirmed in terms of final. These are the exact details. But yes, in the middle of November, we will be playing shows. We will be playing a Reading show, hopefully a London show, and a couple of others. So they will all be announced very, very soon because it's not that long till November. But we're talking about over the 18th, 19th, 20th. That period of time is when we're just finalising tour dates right now. So keep those dates free, and hopefully we'll be close enough to you for you to come.
And also, and just follow us on Instagram. Instagram is where we're most active. The Facebook group is where we're going to be really active. We are on Twitter as well, but like, you know how it is in the social media days. You can be on everything and then not have time for doing anything on any of them. And so for us, we're really focused on Instagram and our Facebook group. But we also have a mailing list. But yeah, we all use social media these days. If you're following us on Instagram, you're going to know about it. And we'll have videos on our YouTube page as well. But all the links should be in the description to this live stream. Cool. There was just one last question from Kevin. He said, who came up with the idea of Myles' actions? So Kevin realised that in the music video that I basically do sign language at the end, and I was very surprised how quickly Kevin is a very astute person. He's very good at noticing things like that. But for one of the final lines of When Voices Have Never Been More Powerful, I sign it, British Sign Language. And it was one of these ideas that just came to mind, and I sort of suggested it to the band thinking, this is kind of a litmus test of like what we can do with the concept anyway, because the band are either going to go, nah, it's a bit gimmicky, or it's like, no, let's totally go for it. And they were all like, oh, that's really cool, we should totally do it. And the inspiration for it was, funnily enough, Apple Fitness I've been using, and they have all the, these great training programs that has really helped me with my fitness this year. And obviously they have a global audience, and what they do in their fitness routines is just at the start and at the end, they use sign language to just, have more of a global appeal and to be more inclusive. They're very much about, togetherness and inclusiveness. And I thought that's just such a really cute thing. So a friend of mine, Dee, who lives in Scotland, she teaches British Sign Language, and I just sent her a message. I went, this sounds really like a really strange question, but could you teach me one line in British Sign Language? And we did it over a video call, and I've actually got the footage of it, which is going to appear in a behind the scenes video that we'll be publishing in the not too distant future. But basically the thought behind it was, voice, although is normally associated with vocals, you know, when it comes to being inclusive, like, not everyone does actually have a physical voice, but it doesn't mean that they don't have an intention that they can express with the world. And so it was just a way of being inclusive to say that, you know, we don't just mean it literally that everyone has a voice they can scream. It's why we have stuff like the megaphone. We have people on a podcast, on a phone. Like, it's the idea of communication, and about the idea that any change, for good or for bad, that's ever happened in human history has been because one person at some point in time uttered something that was inside them to the world and took action. And it doesn't always require a voice to do it. So yeah, that's what inspired it. Samantha said, "I'll come to a gig, defo guys. That's awesome." Marty, I gotta go. Don't want to drain my that mobile data. Well, we appreciate you investing in it as today. Johnny's here. Good to see you here, Johnny. Ryan, good to see you here. Jamie, good to see you here. Oh man, so many comments that we've missed out on. But honestly, we've read them all, and I just want to go round the room. I'm going to say one last time before we sign off. Maz, is there anything you want to say to our supporters, or anything like?
Yeah, like, you know, the support has been fantastic throughout this campaign. You know, we've really worked hard together as a band. You know, we've had our individual roles. Everyone's sort of been working behind the scenes on different things. You know, so just, yeah, I want to give a massive thanks, and hope you enjoy everything that we've created as much as we enjoyed creating it. You know, and thanks for tuning in. Yeah, it's been great.
Josh.
Yeah, I feel this is going to be the same for everyone. But thanks for everyone's support so far. Keep streaming, keep sharing. Really helps. Thanks.
Also, we have to just, like, the elephant or the drum kit in the room. Right behind you is your kit. Do you want to say a couple of words about it? Like, it's an electric kit.
Yeah, well, that's an electric kit. It's an Alesis. It's old and wearing away, but I make do for practicing at home until I can get to the studio with you guys and play on a real kit.
And you write the music. Do you record the music for the demos on it?
I don't typically like write it in like on a laptop or something, but then I will like try a few things out on there. I have recorded things in the past on there just to hear it with the actual song, see how it sort of sounds and how it feels playing and everything. But yeah, I do use it for mainly just practicing at home on day to day.
That's awesome. Thanks, Josh. Hugh.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as Maz said, really, and Josh too. Just like this has been great. It's been really like Voices, musically at least, was written quite a long time ago, and then obviously vocally a couple of years ago, and then the studio time, and then COVID and everything. So it's been a long time coming, this release, and the journey we've been on to get there has been, I mean, challenging at times, but now that it's out and the positive feedback makes it feel very worthwhile. So thank you very much, everybody. Really.
Great. And Luke.
Hello, mate.
Hello.
It's a crap job, isn't it? Being the last one to go, saying exactly the same thing as 4 people before.
If it makes you feel better, I'm going after you.
That's all right. Miles has still got that.
Yeah.
Everything and make it really difficult for him.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right, you can just sum it all up for us, mate. That'd be lovely. But no, exactly what everyone else has said. It's been a long time coming. It's felt quite tough. This music's been recorded since January 2000. I want to say 19, but that can't be right. 20.
20.
No,
20.
No,
Yeah.
it was 20. It was 20. We were super lucky. So we didn't mention this. We were super lucky. We just got out of the studio before lockdown. Before
Yes.
COVID, and we were told we weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
We were. It was like literally a week before, and the next band in with Justin got screwed halfway through,
Got
basically,
cancelled.
in terms of their recording.
Because he was mixing it during lockdown, so he was just mixing it at home anyway. So we'd done the bit that would have required us to be in a room together.
And actually, sorry, I'm dragging this out now. But given it's the launch, one of the one of the tracks that made it on the album, and when we didn't actually go into the studio intending on an album. It became an album as a part of the journey. And one of the things to finish that off was we actually did a song that made it onto the album that we had to record. I basically recorded here, where I'm sat at the moment, and then sent it to Justin, and he did all his magic to it to make it fit in with the rest of the album.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, Luke.
Yeah, Luke, back to you.
Yeah, no, crack on. Just jump in. But yeah, no. So yeah, beginning of 2020, and it's been a weird, almost couple of years now since that happened, and lots of things have moved on in that time, and it's been difficult, I think, as a group, not to be able to get together, but also to have this thing that you want to be able to share with everyone, with all of you guys and the people that supported us over the years, and not be able to do that. It's really nice to be at a point now where we can start getting some of that music out and start getting your feedback on it, because we've all been listening to it for the last 18 months, but it's all well and good us listening to it and us giving feedback on it, but we wrote the bloody stuff. I'd hope we like it. It'd be nice to get some outside feedback that isn't either a direct relative or a wife or partner or daughter, to be fair. Now she's not that big a fan, to be honest, but she is 8 weeks old, so she doesn't have a clue what's going on. But yeah, no, really excited to share everything with you guys. Thanks for joining us tonight, and look forward to sharing a bit more with you in the future.
Thanks, Luke. Yeah, I mean, everyone has said so much that I could only echo, which is we're really just grateful for the ongoing support. I'd already mentioned that I feel that there's this real new sense of confidence. Not that we didn't have confidence before, but it's just a whole other level as a band that we're so confident with this album. I think the fact it was recorded a while ago and it's been as Luke said, we've been listening to it. We just want to get it out there and hear your thoughts. And, we're going to be frank about it. It's going to be a slow beginning and things are going to build up over time. This is a reboot. We're not expecting to overnight be, bathing in millions and millions of streams. But this is a real next step in the story of us building a community and building a tribe, as we often call it, with the music. And so the responses we have had so far have just been incredibly inspiring. And, we do respond to your comments, whether it's on Instagram comments or on YouTube. But remember that we are on a Signal group chat as a band, and we are constantly relaying to each other, did you see this comment? Did you see that? It really means a lot to us. And as I've mentioned on my previous live streams about something I try and practice this year, vitamin G, gratitude, the idea that we often express we're grateful for people after the fact, and sometimes it's too late and we don't get a chance to. The best time you can do it is during the moment. And so if you feel engaged with our music and believe in what we're doing, we need you to help us lift this up and get it going, because we can't do it alone. We do need you, and it's not good enough anymore for us just to rely on passive listeners. Now, passive listeners are good. We want people that listen to our music, but those of you that do give feedback and really do enjoy what we do and want to champion the music and the messages and all that, it just gives us ideas for what to do next in terms of the content we make, in terms of the way that we market our music. So yeah, we just want to say, head on over to schematatheory.com. If you're excited about voices, get the merchandise. If you ever do an Instagram story, tag Schemata Theory and the Unite hashtag, because we've got a new Instagram highlight story that's called Unite, and we're just going to put all our fan supporters in it just to show hopefully the global spread of supporters for it. And if you're ever wearing our merch, we would love to see you wearing it. So be sure to do that as well. And then finally, obviously, pre-order the album. If you feel that you need to listen to a couple more singles first, we won't blame you. But, you know, do it. You know you want to. So yeah, all the links that are important, Facebook group, Spotify, follow us on there. And please, after this live stream, head on over to our YouTube video, watch in its entirety, comment with what you thought about it, and like it, and just share the word. And we're going to be on Instagram, some of us on this, in the DMs, so drop us a line. We're going to end it there. So a huge thank you, firstly, to my brothers for joining me on the stream. Like, honestly, really, really appreciate it, guys. It's been really good. And then a huge thank you to all you watchers, because some of you don't normally watch my live stream. It's this time every Wednesday. And some of you are my watchers but don't know much about the band. Hopefully you found this insightful, and hopefully you will join us on this exciting next chapter for Schemata Theory. So, on that note, I think we're just going to do kind of a Brady Bunch, kind of we're all wave like this, and then I'll eventually end it. So if we just keep waving. There we go. And Josh is waving somewhere. Awesome. Catch you guys on Instagram. Much love.